We have two different professional certificates at UCSD Extension, but the majority of this presentation is on the paralegal certificate program, but we do also talk about intellectual property. I say that so if you're here to hear about the intellectual property certificate, hold on, it'll be there, but it's going to be towards the end of the presentation. Okay, so let's go. And Nicole's going to forward the slides for me. And so if we're off kilter, we'll get it figured out. All right. Like I mentioned, there are two professional legal certificates at Extension. One is our paralegal certificate program. It's probably the one that you've heard about the most. We're ABA approved. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary as an ABA approved program. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. The ABA stands for the American Bar Association, if you're unfamiliar with that. I have a feeling, though, if you've been looking at paralegal programs, you are familiar with the ABA. It's kind of the gold standard for programs. We've been approved for 30 years. The program itself has been around for 35 years. We have both a full-time and a part-time option that I'll go into detail about. We're very proud of our placement and career services. That's why we have Mindy here to tell you more about that in just a few minutes. It's also, besides obviously preparing you to be successful and work as a paralegal, we have a lot of students that take it as kind of a law school prep, that they're either considering law school and maybe they want to work as a paralegal for a few years, or their goal is to go to law school and they just want to have a leg up. It's a great preparation for that so that you don't have any surprises when you get to law school, because law school is a different beast in and of itself. But so we have different students that come to the program for different reasons. It's a total of 28 units. We'll get into that in a minute. The other certificate that we're just as proud of, and in its own way, it's unique, is the intellectual property certificate. I say it's unique because there's not that many IP certificates in the United States. We were probably one of the first ones. There are advanced degrees, advanced legal degrees. You can get an intellectual property, but a pure certificate, a professional certificate, is rare in this area. So we'll go into a little bit more detail about the intellectual property certificate towards the end of the presentation. But when we're talking about intellectual property, we're talking about patents, trademarks, copyrights, etc. It's not ABA approved, and the only reason it's not ABA approved is because the ABA doesn't approve this type of certificate. We have to have that disclaimer. The ABA makes us have a disclaimer that says it's not ABA approved, but we added it's not ABA approved because it's not the type of certificate that makes it ABA approved. So there's nothing to be, there's no reason to think anything bad if it's not ABA approved. It's not the type of certificate they approve. They approve paralegal certificates and they oversee law schools, the ABA. All right, next slide. Okay, so a paralegal certificate. As I said, this is the majority of the presentation. So this is just repeating what we've already said. One thing you can see though at the bottom of the slide is the URLs for the paralegal website and the extension website where our courses are and time schedules are listed. So let's go on. I like to start any kind of discussion about the paralegal certificate program with explaining what a paralegal is. Because a lot of people, they know the term, but they're not quite sure what it is. And this term that you see up on the screen right now, it says a paralegal or a legal assistant is a person qualified by education, training, or work experience who is employed or retained by a lawyer and who performs specifically delegated substantive legal work for which a lawyer is ultimately responsible. It's a lot packed into that little paragraph. What I like to highlight is the substantive legal work. So this is the ABA's definition of a paralegal. In a minute, we'll talk about California's additional requirements for paralegals. But the ABA says you're a paralegal if you're qualified by education or work experience. You have to work under the supervision of an attorney. A lot of people think paralegals can work independently. you cannot, under the law, you're required to work under the supervision of an attorney so that they're ultimately responsible for your work. But you do substantive legal work. You do a lot of the same things that the attorney does. It's just that ultimately the attorney is responsible for your work. The profession has changed so much over the years. You know, in the very beginning, when the term was created and people started talking about paralegals, there was confusion of what that is. You know, is it a legal secretary? Is it just an assistant? And over the years, with bodies like the ABA and with California's strengthening of the profession, it's come to be seen as partner to the lawyer, someone who does substantive legal work. It's just that the lawyer who's licensed is ultimately responsible. So, next slide. In California, now I kind of alluded to this. California, as we're apt to do, we have gone further in our laws than other jurisdictions. We were the first state in the United States to basically define the term paralegal, to actually say, if you want to be a paralegal in the state of California, you have to meet these certain requirements. So in California Business and Professions Code 6450, the legislature, with the support of the paralegal community, with the support of the state bar for attorneys, agreed to this statute, Business and Professions Code 6450, and at all means it's the other additional statutes that go along with that. It established the minimum requirements for education. At the top of that list is if you have an ABA approved paralegal certificate, you qualify as a paralegal in California. So when you finish our program, when you finish the program at UCSD Extension, you have an ABA approved paralegal certificate. So you meet that top requirement under California Business and Professions Code 6450. There are other ways to qualify as a paralegal in California, and you'll learn about those because once you take the program, we talk about 6450 a lot so that you understand your role as a paralegal, especially if you are in California. But it also, like I said, there are all other ways to qualify as a paralegal, but it's what we've noticed is that employers have stopped looking at those other ways. They just want to know that you have an ABA approved paralegal certificate, so they don't have to worry about whether you qualify as a paralegal in California. So beyond that, it also outlines your responsibilities, what you can and cannot do as a paralegal. And it sets continuing legal education requirements, which is also a part of being a recognized profession. So as an attorney, I have to do 30 hours of continuing legal education every 3 years. Within Business and Professions Code 6450, they define that as a paralegal, you have to do 8 hours every 2 years. So you do have that continuing legal education requirement similar to attorneys for the same reasons, that it keeps you up to date, that it keeps you aware of changes in your profession. And lastly, it defines what can happen to you if you violate Business and Professions Code 6450. If you decide just to go rogue and say, I'm just going to open my own law office, and I know I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take people's money and work as their legal representative. That's against the law in California. That's a violation of the uniform, as the unauthorized practice of law, UPL. So it talks about what can happen. And ultimately, you can go to jail for not following Business and Professions Code 6450. So again, not wanting to scare anybody, but it's very important. And California, by passing this law in 2001, is saying we recognize that this is a profession to be respected. And so for those of you who are here tonight thinking, do I want to be a paralegal? Know that it is a respected and well-honored profession, especially in California. We really respect the people that qualify to be paralegals. All right, next slide. So our program, the picture that you're seeing on the screen is our classroom location. We haven't been in that location physically since winter of 2020. As you all know, there's no in-person classes going on right now at UCSD and UCSD Extension. We probably will not return to in-person classes till maybe summer of 2021, summer quarter, and that's not for sure. So we are, we'll talk about how we're doing classes now, but we have since spring been doing what we call live online, which are class, virtual learning through Zoom. If you have, some of you have children, you know about this. Some of you that have been in your undergraduate are used to this. We've all gotten used to it at this point. But whenever we return to classes, we'll be at this building on Governor Drive in, I guess it's a University City area, Governor Drive and the 805. So like I said, our program has been approved by the American Bar Association since 1990. Why this is so critical, besides the fact that in Business and Professions Code 6450, it states that if you have an ABA approved certificate, you qualify as a paralegal. When you're looking at programs, if you're looking at programs other than our programs, if they say they're ABA approved, then you know that they are overseen by the ABA, that their records are reviewed, that every couple of years they have to submit a report to the ABA. Every 7 years they have to do a reapproval report where they state things as, as detailed as all the resumes for their instructors, whether their instructors do continuing education as an instructor in education, what every syllabi is for every course. And one of the things that I always say is important to you when you're considering a program is that if the program is ABA approved, they have to keep placement records. So we've had to say, for the last 30 years, we've had to be able to say, these individuals by name graduated from our program, and this is where they're working. And if they're not working somewhere, why aren't they working? Because the ABA says your role as a paralegal certificate program is to educate students to become working paralegals. So the idea that a program has to keep placement records should be very important to you when you're looking for a program, because we're not just going to say, here's your certificate, see you later. We're going to say, we're going to help you find a job. No program will ever guarantee that they can get you a job, but the requirement to keep those placement records is very important. Our placement rate currently for our graduates is nearing 90%. It may even be above that. I'm not sure myself right now, but it's somewhere between 90 and 100%. The people that aren't getting jobs that graduate from our program, maybe they're going on to law school, or maybe they've decided, for whatever reason, they don't want to be a paralegal. But we have no trouble placing graduates of this program, and we have to show that in our records to the ABA. So both our programs, the accelerated program and the part-time program, which we'll talk about the differences in those in just a few minutes, are ABA approved. One other thing where it says our curriculum combines practical skills with legal theory and analysis. One major difference between a paralegal certificate program and law school, for example, is the fact that you actually learn the practical skills in a paralegal program. This is I tell people all the time, people on this, Mindy, Nicole, probably tired of hearing me say this, but when I went to law school, it's been a few years, but when I graduated from law school, I didn't know how to do anything. They don't teach you how to do anything in law school. They don't teach you how to file a complaint. They don't teach you, how to do practical litigation documents. They teach you a lot of theory and a lot of, case briefing and things like that. My family thinks they taught me how to argue very well, but they don't teach you how to actually do anything. So in a paralegal program, we're going to teach you the practical skills as well as legal theory and analysis. You will learn legal analysis, especially if you take my legal research and analysis class. You'll learn how to analyze the law, but you'll also learn the practical aspect of it. The best paralegal programs do that. The ABA says they want to know what practical assignments you do in the program. So in that vein, our classes are taught by working attorneys and working paralegals, people that are doing the job that they're teaching you about. For example, our criminal law class is taught by a deputy district attorney who's been a DA for over 25 years. Who better to talk to you about criminal law and criminal procedure? Our administrative law class is taught by an administrative law judge. People that are actually doing the area, doing that type of law are the ones that are teaching you in those classes. As far as the course content, it says it focuses on civil litigation and the different areas of the curriculum. The only reason we highlight that is I just mentioned we have a criminal law class. There is a criminal law class, but the focus of most of the program is on the civil side of things. But we do have options for those that are interested in criminal law. Okay, what's next? So here's where I'm going to turn it over to Mindy, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about what kind of employment assistant career services we offer. And remember, as I said, a big part of ABA approval is that we do have these records, and this is why we have these great services in place. So I'll turn over to you, Mindy.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Greetings to everyone. Thank you for joining us. Glad to have you all here. Couple things I want to share with you. As Julia mentioned, we have a rich and rigorous program for you through our paralegal program, but the unique value that comes with it is the employment assistance that comes with this program that Julia mentioned. So all of you will take a paralegal career success class to help you launch your job search campaign. So you'll be marketing yourself. You are the product and you need all that marketing collateral to market your product. So we'll help you with that resume, that cover letter, that thank you letter. Perfect those interviewing skills, mock interviews, whatever you need to get you ready to hit the job market and with confidence so that you know exactly how to conduct your search. We, as part of that class, we also bring in expert panels from staffing managers and from staffing agencies and from different law firms to talk to you about the recruitment that they're doing so that you can ask recruiters direct questions. So we connect you with the community. In fact, the last employer panel that we had in our last class, we had somebody from Google, the staffing manager from Google. We also had a staffing manager from a biotech company. And then we had a staffing manager from Paul Hastings Law Firm, a global powerhouse law firm. So we had high tech represented, we had biotech represented, and then we had the law firm, because there's so many environments that you can work in as a paralegal. So it's a great opportunity through this career success class to get connected with some of the recruiters there. And it's all part of the program. So we are here to help you. We don't leave you alone. You get all the assistance that you need through us. Next slide, please. So part of the program includes our alumni-only LinkedIn group. So as soon as you join our program, you can join our closed LinkedIn group and you can start seeing the job leads as they come in. And Nicole perfectly put together this slide so you can see some of her postings there with some of the job leads as they're coming in. So in some of these employers will just exclusively post with us. Why would they do that? Because they know the caliber of our students. They know our program is a rich and rigorous program, so they know what they're getting when they get a paralegal coming out of our program. So that's a great value add as part of the program. And you have access to this to life. In fact, you have access to the career services for life. I mean, who offers for life services here. We do. So we're here to help you, because down the road, you may want to shift to a different type of paralegal law firm. Maybe you've been in personal injury and then you're going to go into a litigation law firm, and maybe you want to tweak your resume. Maybe you need some help with it. You can always come back to us years later and we can help you down the road. And then you have access to this closed LinkedIn group where job leads are coming in, not just entry level jobs, but some of them requiring several years of experience. So you have access to all of that. You also see in the lower left corner, career development forum. If we're doing career events, we'll post those there. We'll also post events from the San Diego Paralegal Association there too, to just keep you connected with the legal community. Thanks. Next slide, please. So we are here to serve you and make sure that it is an exceptional experience for you. If you want an internship while you're in the program, after you finish the program, we can help you with that. It's not a requirement of the program. It's just an option that if you want, we can assist you in getting an internship. We also get you connected to the legal associations. There's many legal associations. We work very closely with the San Diego Paralegal Association. So we keep you aware and informed about a lot of their events. And so if there's mixers and events, we keep you in the know about that. You want one-on-one counseling, you want employment referrals, whatever it is you're looking for, we're here to support you in that process. I mentioned the career panels that we bring in, which are just fascinating, and our students love that. And we're always getting you connected to the staffing agencies, because there's so many local legal staffing agencies that are here to help you with your job search. And we know all the players and we get you connected to all of them. So we look forward to you joining our program. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you, Mindy. I wanted to follow up one thing that Mindy said. First off, in this picture, if you notice on the right, that's Richard Sachs. He's the deputy district attorney that I mentioned that teaches our criminal law class. And again, in the past, he for every quarter, he would offer the students the ability to do a court tour, and he would take them into some of the judges' chambers, and they would go back and be able to observe the different trials going on, and it was really enjoyable to the students, and I hope that we can return to that soon. The other thing I wanted to reinforce in regards to internships, because I do get this question a lot. Some programs require an internship. We don't require an internship as part of the program. We can definitely help you to find an internship, and we're happy to set that up. The main reason we don't require it is because I have found from personal experience, and I've been doing this I've been in education for 20 years, is that when you have a requirement for an internship, you're going to have that situation where some people have really great internships and others just have something because they had to be placed somewhere. With not requiring it, we have the ability to say, these internships that we have connections are legitimate substantive legal internships. They're not just, getting coffee and buying donuts or something. You're actually going to get a chance to be involved in work that a paralegal would be doing. So we don't have that requirement, but we definitely can set it up. The other reason is because of our full-time program, it makes it very difficult to also place a required internship in that 12-week period. So, all right, well, next up, Nicole's going to talk a little bit about the application process, and then I'm going to go into some more details about the individual program. So I did notice a question in the chat that I'll definitely be able to, or in the Q&A that I'll be able to clarify. So Nicole Mitchell.
Thanks, Juliet. Good evening. Okay, so I'm going to briefly go over admissions requirements to our program. Like you've been hearing throughout the whole entire presentation, we are ABA approved, and because of that, the ABA sets our educational standards and requirements for the education and for admissions. Also, because our program is a certificate program, it does not include general education, which means that you need to come to us for either, if you're coming to us for the accelerated or the part-time program, you either have to have your bachelor's degree already for accelerated, or at least your AA degree for the part-time program. That being said, a little bit about the accelerated program. The bachelor's degree and the AA don't have to be in any certain area of study. It can be any topic. You just have to have completed a degree program. And it can be any degree program from anywhere. And the reason why specifically for the accelerated program, having a BA is important. It's actually important to have your degree regardless to become, when you're entering the workforce as a paralegal, is because you're going to be competing against other candidates for jobs that do have, bachelor's degrees. And it's very important to always, have your best foot forward and be as marketable and employable as possible. So again, like I had mentioned, for the accelerated is a minimum of a BA. For the part-time program, a minimum of an AA. We do have special considerations if you have neither degrees. For applicants who have 10 years or more of working legal experience, that is upon approval, and you would have to explain the types of legal experiences you've had, your job duties, and so forth, so that we can actually see at what level of knowledge you have. With that, I actually wanted to read a quote from the ABA website about the attributes. This is literally on their website, their attributes of an ideal paralegal program candidate. And I think it's important because this is exactly what we look for in our own candidates and what is important to be a good paralegal. So they quote, "A candidate's personal qualifications for admission into a paralegal education program are very important. Applicants must be able to write clearly, communicate effectively, and must possess a high degree of motivation and analytical reasoning capability. Candidates should also be responsible, mature individuals who are sincerely interested in pursuing a career as a paralegal." And I think we can mirror that and say that the UCSD paralegal program also believes in that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move the slide. Okay. Application documents. So this is actually pretty straightforward. The website that is listed there, paralegal.ucsd.edu, is where you'll actually go to complete your application, regardless if you're doing the part-time or accelerated. You'll have a link there to be able to complete everything. At the time of application, the following documents I'm going to describe are not going to be required as part of your application. A lot of questions I get were, well, where do I attach or submit my letters of recommendation or my transcripts? Those documents are going to be emailed to me and copied to our UNext Law email after you've submitted your application. Right now, our application system doesn't have the ability for you to upload them all at the same time. So I just wanted to let you know that. There is a $95, we say processing fee or certificate fee, and that goes directly to UC Regents or student services area. And that fee covers your application evaluation, your counseling throughout the whole entire program, in addition to the certificate fee. So that $95 covers all that. You'll see it as a certificate fee, but we also wanted to let you know all the other things that were included in that.
Can I just mention there, Nicole, that on that 95, as Nicole said, the paralegal program, as opposed to some of the other certificate programs at Extension, actually offers so much more in that fee. Every certificate at Extension, you have to pay that $95. But with ours, you get a lot more for it.
Okay, so the transcripts, again, this will be emailed to me after you've completed your application and it's been reviewed and you've been accepted. We do have to have official transcripts. A lot of times some students will send me unofficial transcripts or, screenshots of things just so I can, visually kind of counsel them ahead of time. But for your academic record, as required by ABA, we will have to have your official transcript and official documents on file. It's very important because you won't be able to receive your certificate of completion at the end either if we don't have all of your documents on file. Additionally is 3 letters of recommendation from the individuals who are familiar with your background, whether it be academic or professional working. And again, this is going back to the candidate's qualifications, as far as high degree of motivation, and what a person that you want to make sure that the person that you pick has a good working knowledge of the type of your character. Acceptable individuals would be somebody like a previous or current employer, coworkers, a volunteer supervisor, even if you were on a committee with somebody, a committee member or a committee leader. We try not to, or we prefer not to have family members. Did I cover pretty much a good variety?
Yeah,
I always get that question. Well, who can write for me?
Right. And my answer usually, we usually are worried if someone can't find 3 people to write a letter of recommendation, but that would concern me more than necessarily who they are. Yeah, we don't want it to be your mom or your dad, but I've had students say, but my mom's a lawyer and I work for her. Okay, well, that's a different situation, but just in general, someone who could say, I think this person would be a great fit for your program and would make a great future paralegal is kind of what we're looking for. But we do need those 3 letters. For ABA purposes, like Nicole mentioned, we keep a file. We have an actual paper file for each student in the program. All right.
And again, lastly, I just wanted to mention, because I do get a question, do we have like a form letter that, listing all the things that the letter needs to be? And we don't. It's actually going to be, you just want to make sure that the person has, a good understanding of basically your background, like your communication, your motivation, your interest in pursuing a paralegal career, and can speak to all of your attributes. So it's whatever they want to say about you. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nicole. So just a little information about the difference between the 2 options that we have for the paralegal program. And you've heard now a couple times them mentioned. Our accelerated program. Our accelerated program is probably the program that we're the most known for, because no one else really has a program like this. You'll hear others programs call themselves an accelerated program. They started using that word after us. We are the original accelerated program, and we're the only ones that have it set up the way we do. Now, it's also been around in this version for 15 years. So it's tried and true, and it works. It's a rigorous program. It's a difficult program. It's intensive. All those adjectives you want to use to describe it are proper. I used to say, and I still say it, it's a program that if you have 12 weeks of your life to devote to it, this is the program for you. The benefit is you can finish it in 12 weeks, but it is a full-time, rigorous, requires, a certain level of intellectual ability. It's not a program that you can work and do other things at the same time. This should be your focus for 12 weeks. Again, you can finish it in 12 weeks. We now offer it virtually. I was a little hesitant at that in the beginning, but once we did, and we've done it now 2 quarters, it works. And it also allows people outside of California, outside of San Diego, to complete this program. We had students in the summer from New York. We had students from Colorado. We've had students from Northern California. It's still that 12-week, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4. So you have to be available for classes that could be 9 to 12 in the morning, Monday through Thursday, 1 to 4. We do offer some asynchronous online course during that time. So it may not be every day, 9 to 4, but you need to be available if it is. It's only offered in the summer, fall, and spring quarters. So for example, our winter quarter is coming up. So from January to March, UCSD is on the quarter system. So that's our winter quarter. We don't offer the accelerated program during that time. We offer classes in the certificate program, but it's not the 12-week intensive program. The next one will start in spring, which you can help me out, Nicole, is that March 20? I don't know the.
Yes, then our spring program will start on March 22nd and it'll run through June 11th.
Okay, so that's the next one. So again, it is offered via Zoom. Most of the classes are live online. That's what we have described this way of doing the program at Extension, live online. It does require a bachelor's degree or a higher degree. And for some of those reasons that Nicole also mentioned, but also because this is an intensive program, we do expect a certain level of college experience, university experience to be frank, handle the workload. It is a difficult program. It's also, you know, we limit it to 25 students. We rarely have people not finish their certificate. Sometimes we have people that will go from the accelerated program to the part-time, and you always have that option. So it's not like you're stuck, but rarely do we have people that just don't finish it. They just say, I'm, you know, can't do it. You'll be tired. You'll feel like you've actually accomplished something at the end of the 12 weeks, but it does allow you then to be able to say to employers, I did this 12-week program, and you know, and they'll know about it. I've had attorneys describe it as trial by fire. They know when they hire someone who's done that accelerated program that one, they have the intellectual ability, they know time management, they have the ability to you know, keep all these things going and to be successful. And so we're proud of this program, but it is a difficult program. So I always say, if this just sounds crazy to you, because for some people it is, I don't want to do that. That's too much in a short amount of time. The next program on the next slide is the part-time program. And the thing about that is it is the exact same program. It's just now we say, okay, you don't want to do that 12-week. Tell us how long you want to take. Tell us your schedule. We'll work with you. Another advantage that our program has to some others is for the part-time, we don't tell you what to do. We tell you the classes that you have to take that are required, and we tell you how many units of electives, but then you tell us how long you want to take that. You tell us, do I want to take one class a quarter? Do I want to take two? Do I want to take 6, but not the amount of the accelerated program? This is where we stand back and say, okay, you tell us how you want to do it, and we'll make a schedule for you. We'll work with you to how you want to do it. The only requirement is that you have to do it within 4 years. Most people that are, you know, working individuals that maybe are limited when they can do their classes take about 1.5 to 2 years to finish the program. But you can do it in a shorter period. Some people will say, look, a 1/4, 12-week program just sounds too intense, but I want to do it in 2 quarters. However, and if I, you know, I've said that a few times, if I haven't made myself clear at this point, however you want to do the part-time program, you can do it, as long as you take the 10 required courses that you see up there and 6 units of electives. And so the electives are either 3 units or 2-unit classes. So however that adds up to 6 units, it's the same 28 units that's required for the accelerated program. It's just you have the option of how you want to actually complete the program for that. And just with the accelerated program, currently all the classes are either online or via Zoom live online. And on the website, the picture or the graphic that you see up there is probably a little dated in regards to whether the classes are online or not. But if you go to the extension.ucsd.edu/law, you can see all the current classes coming up. So part-time classes will start next week, I guess, for the part-time program. So if you are interested in the part-time program, you could jump into a class next week and get started on that. The accelerated program, if you want to do it in that one cohesive 12-week period, is not going to be available until late March for that.
And I also wanted to mention that we are available to help plan your schedule, like Julie had mentioned previously.
Yeah.
You can just send me an email and let me know, like, hey, I need a little bit of help figuring out, like, what's the best approach to taking this. And I'll ask you, okay, so how many classes can you take in a quarter? Do you want days? Do you want evenings? What's your personal schedule, your children's schedule like? How many days can you actually, contribute to the program? And then together I can give you, a suggestion. It's like Julia said, it's just a suggestion. You can choose to do it however you want, but we're there for you. With your thing.
Great. Yes. And thank you for saying that, Nicole, because I think it's imperative that you either meet with Nicole or even Mindy and talk about your schedule and how you want to do that. Okay. So here's the money. Here's the cost of the program. The way you pay is also different, whether you do the accelerated program or the part-time program. I think this was one of the questions in the Q&A. So the full-time program, the total cost of the full-time program with the $95 certificate fee is $7,095. This includes that's a one price covers all. That includes your books and materials. That includes a Lexis ID. It includes all the processing fees. It includes everything. You basically show up for the classes and do the work. We send you the books, we purchase them, we send them to you, we enroll you in the classes, we do everything for you for the accelerated program, mainly because it is, it's a lot of work. If you had to then worry about enrolling in your own classes and doing all that, that would just add to the, to the rigor of what it is already. So that also, and I think this was, I think this, is it paid in one full time at registration? That was one of the questions. We can set up a payment plan for this. We can divide that 7,000 into a 2 or 3 payment plan. So you do not have to pay the full amount at the time of registration. For the part-time program, you pay as you go. There is no flat fee that's required for that. So, and this goes back to the idea of depending on how long you're going to take to complete the program. If you're going to do it in 3 years, we're not going to require you to pay the full amount up front. For the part-time program, you pay the individual classes as you enroll in them. Then you find your books, either, you can go to Amazon or one of the things, or you can rent a book. You can do however you want for that. You're responsible for getting your own textbooks for that. The fee for the part-time program, if you add up the enrollment costs, the tuition costs for all the required courses and the electives, it's going, and add the books, it's going to be similar to that 7,000 fee. I don't think we have it up here, but we can tell you exactly the amount for the tuition. It always can change because sometimes individual tuitions go up. We haven't changed those amounts for a few years. But once you pay for those individual classes and get the books, it could be very similar to the 7,000, or it could be less depending on how the books are. That's the unknown. We can't put a price on how much you're going to pay for books and materials because everyone's different on that. But it is a different way. Yeah.
Especially depending on which elective you choose if you're in the part-time program, because some courses don't require textbooks. So then your textbook fee would be lower.
Yeah, for sure. So in regards to financial assistance, there are personal student loans are available. One thing that I like to put up front, because some people are surprised about this, the program is not covered by federal loans. So that's one thing that is not available to you in the certificate program or the certificate programs at Extension is federal loans. We do qualify for student loans, but those are normally personal loans that you get through your bank or your credit union, or, even, I don't know, it's Fannie, it used to be Fannie Mae, I don't know. So that would be one thing. That's another reason we offer the payment plan for the accelerated program, so you're not hit with that huge amount right up front. There's also veterans benefits. There's a program called Workforce Partnership, that's through EDD. If you're like currently on unemployment or in that situation, there are sometimes there are various scholarships that you can become familiar with. One is through the San Diego Paralegal Association. But regardless, the person you can contact in student services is the name that you see right there, Crystal Valenzuela, who can help you with any financial assistant questions that you might have regarding the program. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just the last slide in regards to the paralegal program are the deadlines. Remember, I mentioned that for the accelerated program, we limit it to 25 students. That requires that you submit your application generally at least 4 weeks before the start of the program. One, we need to know how many people, we need to know how many books to buy, we need to have all that in place. So we need at least that 4-week period for the accelerated program. The part-time program, your application should be submitted by the end of your first class. So when you enroll in the class, before you end that class, you should at least have submitted the application. And then by the end of your third course, I should say, not the third class, but the third course that you take in the program, your application should be complete. One thing is we don't want you just taking classes and then not qualifying for the program, and we're not able to give you the certificate. So the application that we receive will give us an idea of whether you qualify for the program. And you can apply at any time. We're accepting applications all the time. So even if you were thinking, maybe I want to do the summer accelerated program, you can go ahead and apply now. It gives you an option on the application as to which programs that you're interested in. Okay, so again, I told you up front that we wouldn't be talking much about the intellectual property certificate, so I just want to give you a few things on here. So first off, this is the you know how I started with the definition of a paralegal. This is the World Intellectual Property Organization's definition of what intellectual property is. I like to say, just think of it as your intellectual property is what's up here. What you create with your own brain power can become your property that you're able to protect from others using it. So when we talk about patents, trademarks, etc. So here it says, refers to creations of the mind, inventions, literary and artistic works, symbols, names, images, and designs used in commerce. Intellectual property law protects people's inventions, people's ideas, people's, creative outlets, whatever it may be. You have a right to protect that from others using it without your permission. So the benefit of our IP certificate is it gives you that educational foundation that you may need as an intellectual property professional. Now, generally, this requires some type of legal background. It's not something you can just jump in necessarily. Some scientists we do have, and some of our students have a very strong scientific background, and they're very interested in patent law and how to protect, their scientific creations or inventions. But the majority of our students already have some type of legal background. So we do have a lot of paralegals that then take this as a type of specialization. Or we have attorneys who want to jump into the intellectual property field. Just like the paralegal program, this program is also taught by people working in that field, prominent attorneys and patent agents that are teaching you the program. This program is completely online. It's, it hasn't been an in-person option for over 5 years. And so we're not even talking about live online here. This is fully asynchronous instruction. So you can complete this program, without actually doing any kind of live online or in-person class. So again, here are just some of the students. You see there, professionals wishing to change emphasis or earn continuing education credit. Sometimes we have attorneys or paralegals that take a certain class just because we are a California State Bar approved MCLE, which stands for Mandatory Continuing Legal Education provider. So our classes offer those hours. Remember I mentioned that as an attorney, I have to do 30 hours. I could take one of the IP classes and then maybe get 18 hours for completing that course. So sometimes we have students that are just doing that. And so it says, attorneys, paralegals, professionals in the field of biosciences, pharmaceutical, telecommunication, just again, and it's just all about, like I said, protecting your intellectual property from other people's use. I mean, you hear in the news a lot of times about, like Apple fighting Samsung about some part that was in a phone and who actually owns it and who patented it first. That's all about intellectual property, that sort of thing. Or you have, a place like McDonald's, the Golden Arches. That's a trademark. That's a trademark. So someone can't open a restaurant and put Golden Arches and call themselves, like what? Magoo's.
The arches.
Yeah, that's protected. That I used to talk about that, Toys R Us, which I guess is not around anymore, but they used to use that backwards R. That was their own protection through trademark. And then when Lamps R Us came about and they tried to use a backwards R, Toys R Us sued Lamps R Us for trademark infringement. So that's how it all works. So the intellectual property certificate is not quite as long as the paralegal certificate. It's 22 units. And you can see the courses there online. Okay, I think that's the majority of what we have to say. Here's our contact information, and we'll leave that up as we talk through some of the questions on that. But you can see how to contact us. I wouldn't recommend calling that phone right now because we're all physically working at home right now. We're not in our office, and they haven't figured out, thankfully, how to transfer our phone to our home right now. So email's always the best way on that.